Okay, I just realized something here. Looking at this image from Seymour that Stephen Christopher had put together, you see these lines that were put in here. All right, those I guess are ley lines. I think this is a representation of what Earth really actually is. And when Neil deGrasse Tyson said that it was a little wider in the middle than at the top, he wasn't joking. He said it was kind of like a pear shape. He was dropping a little truth bomb there that actually defied their narrative that it's a spinning round ball. So anyway, I'm trying to figure out where they filmed this from. Where in the world is this? With the concave Earth theory, of which Stephen Christopher is one of the advocates, did a lot of research here. He says that basically we are inside the Earth, so basically it's inverted of what they're telling us. That we're on the outside of the Earth, we're on the inside of it, but it's definitely motionless either way you go. We have the science to prove that much. The rest is uncertain. But as I'm looking at this, and I look at the satellite imagery, because the Earth pictures that they make, they make a composite from all of the satellite imagery. And the swatches look just like this, all right? But there's some sections at the edges where it's wider at the middle parts of the passes. And I was noticing when the NASA tech was lining those up to stitch his blue marble image that there was gaps that they had to go and fill in. Because I knew at the time that had to indicate that there was some anomaly in the size of Earth, that those passes would miss that much data with each pass. I mean, it was a huge amount of stuff that they had to get. Anyway, I was looking at that, and I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking this is very much likely what it is. And this is from I can't remember the acronym, Canadian Meteor something research. So they're the ones that were responsible for taking these, what I assume to be thermal images. I don't know from where on Earth these are taken, but that would be very, very interesting. Anyway, so looking at, that is what I would say would be the interior shot. Well, this would be the exterior, which is when there's a lot of reflective particles in the atmosphere at a certain time, at a certain angle, you can see this light up. Where the sun's rays will reflect back, and what's normally hidden, because it's behind the rays of the sun, you can see outlines, you can see it. And so that's what it looks like. We'll call that the exterior shot, and this is what we'll call the interior shot. Now this is another one of these images like we were looking at before. And I think this is from Seymour as well. Here's another exterior shot. And another thermal image. Exterior. So there's a lot of different ones. You can see it at different angles how it behaves and looks, but you see the patterns here. That's the most interesting thing, is when you compare those patterns to what you see here, you can match these up. Pretty much a positive ID. This is the same thing. We're seeing it from different angles, different types of imaging. All right, but it's the same thing. And so that's an indication this is where the black sun is. And The significant part here in realizing this is right here. You have to look at that. That's the key, that pyramid, that triangle right there. That's the big key. And this right here, okay? That's like the eye, the pyramid here, okay? You'll see that in a lot of the symbolism. Now you see you add these two up here, you just move that up there, and you have the six-pointed star, okay? If you turn this at a certain angle, which if you look at the animation, let me see if I can find the animation and run that. Where is that? Goodness, where did I put that animation? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? This should be front loaded. That's a really important thing. Where is it? There it is. That needs to be front loaded. Alright, you watch this animation here. This is when it spins. This is over the course of a year. Okay, this is an animation this guy did. All the overlay images. And notice how at a certain time of the year you can't see the lower pyramid. Run this again. So you see that it rotates, it moves. Alright, so at different angles, it's my assumption that this will resemble a cube. Or some of these other symbols, when you start to realize, okay, well, what's the significance of this? Alright, in the circle with the pyramid. So here you go. The circle, alright, the pyramid, and then that light right there. They call that the north toroidal. So you have the helion and the anti-helion on the side. So this is the north apex. Your south apex is the lower triangle. And so then you start to look at all the symbolism, the eye in the sky, the all-seeing eye, all right? You can see this is just, this is screaming at you. This is the black sun, the invisible sun right here. You start to understand all the symbolism, all right? There's a six-pointed star. You got your north and then your south, and they're moved up. So maybe at a certain angle, I'm assuming that's where you get this six-point star. And this is the Ouroboros. This is like the Milky Way when you see the time lapses. This is symbolizing that. And these are the other planets. And so this is basically just astrotheology. This isn't Satan. This is just the planets, the sun and the moon and the stars. That's all this is. Now here's the interesting part. See this triangle here on the Father, all right? The sun represents the sun, okay? He represents the black sun, and that's what this is. This is a celestial sphere. Here's your moon, and here's your sun. I think that's the moon. But they're representing everything here. Well, the triangle is represented by the Father, all right? The Father is within the black sun. Here we go again with the triangle, or the octahedron, really. But it's most of the symbolism is with the triangle, like here. So you see the triangle here, and you see the sun. So it's a combination of the black sun and the sun. But the triangle or the pyramid represents the Father, and the sun is the Son. So the symbolism for the character Jesus is really just the Son. It's astrotheology. Here is Amen, Father of the gods. Notice his hat there. And Ra, the sun god. Okay, this is very important because later they became amun-ra. And I suspect, did that to hide the hidden one. because that's where the power is. They want to hide the power, because if you don't have it, you're powerless. You can't easily be controlled if you have power. So here we go again. Triangle is Father. And you have the halo for the sun here that represents the celestial spear. The celestial spear is the star-encrusted ball that spins above us. It takes a long time to see this. All right, it took me a while, and I spent so many nights in the desert filming time lapse to be able to see this thing move. Let me see. I'll go to that next. Let me finish my thought with this here. But you have the celestial spear, which when you see it just right, you can see this ball of stars moving in the sky. And it's like an optical illusion picture where you look at it like this, it looks like one thing, and then you turn your angle and look this way and you focus and you can see an entirely different other thing. It's like that. But here, the representation of this symbol is you have the pyramid for the Father, you have the halo for the sun, all right? Your celestial spear, and this is basically the black sun. Now, there are those that go even further and say this person being upside down and in this way like this symbolizes this is the earth with the people on it. So a lot of this lends to the cell earth theory. And you see all this symbolism start to take on a different meaning. The Masonic symbol there represents the octahedron within the black sun. See the highlighted there? Just like we looked at with that pyramid with the light above it and the highlight. And at certain angles that cube, or many say that the cube at a certain angle resembles a G. Either way, I think that symbolism goes back to the entity within the black sun, the G. And you look at this is a celestial spear right here as well. This is the symbol for the celestial spear. That is what is on Atlas's shoulder. He's not carrying Earth. And then here you go in the United Nations. This is the black sun above. And so here's your triangle again, your eye, your Ouroboros snake. See, a lot of this is symbolism for the same thing. All the swastika symbols are representative of this planetary entity, the black sun. And it's not a Nazi thing. The Nazis used it because they knew of its power. But it doesn't mean Nazi. It predates the Nazis by a long stretch. They did not invent this. They just used it and abused it. So all the cultures have symbols that represents the black sun, but many of them are different, like the six-pointed star and the swastika. They all represent the black sun, the invisible sun, the hidden one. All right, so I'm going to skip over the eclipse section right now. I want to go into the section about time lapse. Where was that? All right, so here you can see the 2 points, all right, north and south. And when this spins, it spins like a toroid pattern, a dielectric toroid pattern. Let me see if I have that image loaded up here. I don't. It's way up there. All right, let me show you this. All right, you start to see that as a big ball in the sky, rotating this way. And then you realize this massive ball of stars is spinning above you. And everything changes perspective. All right. The first time I could see that, it just changed everything. But I've stared at that forever. It took a long time. All right, here's another one that I did. if you look at it long enough, you'll see that star ball spinning. All right, now the best shot that I have seen was by a guy named Vincent Brady. Let me see if I can find his shot. Now, here's the gif of that. Here's one he did out, I believe this is Utah. And can't make that any bigger right now. So you see the North Pole here. You see it spinning this way, and then you see this one spinning the opposite direction. It comes through the middle there. It's these stars are fluidly moving in what looks to be like some kind of plasma or water or liquid or something, and a dielectric toroid pattern. So the ancients put this down as a star ball, the celestial sphere. But when you can see it this way, which they didn't have technology to see it like this, you can see it's a toroid field, and it doesn't move like just a big ball spinning. It's very fluid, and they all move independently. Let me bring up this video because it's hard to explain in that way. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So check this out. He did a 360-degree time lapse using 4 cameras with fisheye lens. So he covered a massive part of the sky, and then he put it together in this really great presentation here. See how this spins this way, and this one spins this way. So the big star ball is a dielectric toroid field. All right, now this is an effect where he flips the image, but let's go to this part here. The other thing that amazed me seeing this is how the Milky Way splits in the sky. It doesn't stay together. Now, it's not as apparent in this one. Bring me to 2-minute mark. You'll see it switch in the sky. Watch this. It started on this side, and it's going to go to the other side. Now, is that just part of the effect, or are we seeing a complete, just a toroid field where everything's just moving? All right, there's one more from Iceland that I want to look at here. All right, you see how the vortex is spinning around here, and you see how this one is spinning through here. And then check this out. What is that? Did you see that? All right, I got to play this again. Up in this corner. That looks like some jet boat. Let me get in there. This was really cool the other day. I forgot about this. Where's my focus? All right, you see that right there? Let me get this focused. Okay. There you go. You see that? It's like splashing through there. What is that? Anyway, I don't mean to get that distracted here, but looking at that pretty much proves the geocentric and the heliocentric models are not accurate. Because if you know how the cosmology of either of those models work, and you look at those stars moving in that manner, you realize quickly that neither of those models are correct. And so you end up spending time thinking the cell Earth theory might just not be all that crazy after all. Now, I can't say what Earth is 100%. There's a lot to consider. And when I first heard of this, I thought it was the craziest thing I'd ever heard. It took me a long time to come around to thinking this could be legitimate. But it's all in the stars, all right? When you see the patterns, you realize helio and geo out the window. Doesn't work. And I'm not even 100% certain that cell Earth covers this entirely. Because if cell Earth were proper, then both of these vortexes should be much higher in the sky. So I don't understand how this vortex down here, where is that? Is that inside the Earth? Does it slip down from there? How is that possible? Have a vortex of stars down here, and it's consistent from most of the angles that I've seen. I've looked from Iceland, Utah, California. Let's see. And they all place this much lower. All right, see that? Much lower. This is higher. So if the cell Earth theory was correct, that should be, both of these should be high up in the sky. And it makes me think that there may be yet another possibility as far as what Earth actually is. But in terms of finding the black sun and a better understanding of the cosmology, I've taken a big step forward. And I just thought I'd share that. Now, one other thing I'd like to say, a lot of people keep bringing this up, thinking that it is proof of a flat Earth model, the geocentric. And I think it is more of an allegorical or symbolic illustration of a toroid field, a dielectric toroid field. Now, see, that's how these stars are moving. You have them going around these two poles there. So I think that's what we have with our stars right there. This is the top one of the north, which is upside down. If we're going to say that, I guess it's matching this, but we're seeing our North Pole like right up here, and we're seeing the South Pole down here, but the horizon is much higher above that. So I don't know how that could be possible. For that to be spinning, if this is inside of a cell of Earth. So anyway, here's another shot here, and you can clearly see that that is going to be down here. So I don't know in terms of Earth, but this is the black sun, baby. Some other imagery here of the back side of it here. So when you start to understand what's in there, where it is, and such, you start to make sense of all this symbolism that you were told just meant Satan. And there are people that will say that Lucifer is within the black sun. And I contend through my research that it's Amen. Amen was going back to Egypt and Kemet, which is, a really good place to start, because that's where the history started getting recorded, and it wasn't kept like it is today in the secret societies. But here you have Amen representing the black sun and Ra representing the sun. And Amen was the father of gods. I don't think that whatever this power within this is either evil or good. I think it just is. And whether something is good or evil is really just a matter of perception. Because when you look at it, let's say, for example, you had a lovely chicken dinner, and you look at that as a good thing. It was for you. It wasn't so lovely for the chicken. You know what I'm saying? And in the end, we get all eaten. Whether you die by getting eaten by cancer or a bear, or the worms eat you later, everybody gets eaten in this reality. And so, whether you are eating or being eaten depends on your perception of whether something is good or evil. So what I'm saying is, I think the power within this is just the power, and whether you use it for good or evil determines whether it's good or evil, and that's just a matter of perception. But what I'm saying is, I don't believe that God, Jesus, and the devil, in the sense that we were taught, exist. I think they're symbolic, allegorical characters for this power, and they separate the duality of it, or the frequency of it. Anyway, you look at these symbols, you start to realize that's what they all meant. And there's so many names for this. And the interesting thing is, when you start to understand the names and what they mean, and the symbolism, you can look at stuff like this, like David Bowie's Black Star, or Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden. There's so many songs about this. Dog Star named his band Mr. Matrix. Keanu named his band Dog Star. And there's so much symbolism, and there's so much that's just right in front of us all the time. And now when you understand this, you'll know what these symbols mean. It's not just pretty art, and it's not the devil. I think the people that know this are all the ones that have the power, and they know how to use it. And I think it's possible that we're being told it's all evil just to keep us from it. It works. Most people won't even think about this stuff because it's evil. It's the occult. It's the devil. Meanwhile, Amun was the father of gods. Ptah was the creator. Ra was the sun god. Amun was known as the hidden one. Now, you start to realize the Pope's headdress here is reminiscent of Amen. And how many people say Amen after their prayer and think that it means so be it in Hebrew? Sorry, that's not true. Not even a little bit. I'm not going to go into all that right now. But I just wanted to cover a few explanations of some of this symbolism in here that I just really can't do by typing all this stuff. And yeah, there we go. All this symbolism basically is the black sun in one capacity or another. And I dare even call it the black sun. I should call it the invisible sun, or the hidden one, or whatever, because the black sun scares people. It's scary. Anyway, when you get down to it, you realize this is heaven. And for whatever it is, that's the face of God. Now, whether that's just the mechanism that runs this simulation, the man behind the curtain like in The Wizard of Oz, or what, if it's a god or if it's just what's projecting this hologram, I don't know, but it's really freaking important. And those that know seem to know, and they don't tell the minions. So, am I just a minion who figured it out? I don't know, but I'm sharing it with you, so don't waste it. This is some really good stuff. If you think it's crazy, spend some more time on it. Trust me, you get to one point, you realize there's some really important stuff in here. Anyway, there you go.